All right, guys, so Mike and Colin back here again. We're standing in front of a 4xe. So the last video we did, we brought to you details on the 95B battery integrity recall and how it's performed. We're seeing comments out in the field that, you know, if your vehicle's in form or fuel oil refresh mode or won't go into electric mode, dealerships are having, you know, some struggles, and what you should expect as Mr. Customer, Mistress Customer on that situation. And then we're going to quickly touch on some things that you should be weary of or watching for that your dealership is doing the job right. Ray does some things here that really show some transparency on the recall being done. But let's talk about form. So if your vehicle is in fuel oil refresh mode, and we're not going to get into details of what that is. We have videos on the channel that talk specifically about that. But what should the customer know if their vehicle is in there? What can they do or what can they expect from the dealership?
Well, what I have noticed is on with the form that come up, it doesn't allow you to go into an electric mode, and it always says temporarily unavailable at this time. No matter what we here at the dealership know and do, unless you go and drive the vehicle for approximately anywhere from 20 minutes to 2 hours and get it out of form.
And let me pause you, because the vehicle has to be able to drive in electric only to do the recall.
Yes.
If your vehicle does not drive in electric only, the recall cannot be done.
Cannot be done.
Okay.
No matter what anyone says, it cannot be done. And the only other way to get it out of form would be to go in and change the oil and then perform the reset and do several key cycles and then drive it and see if it will go back into electric mode.
Now, some dealers are saying, oh, we can change or reset your oil life monitor and send you on your way. What's your thoughts on resetting the oil life monitor without an oil change?
Well, it throws everything out of whack, and then the customer doesn't know what's going on. I mean, yeah, theoretically, can you? Yes. Do we do that here, Ray? No. We have to do it the right way. We're going to tell the customer, you know, unfortunately, if it's in form, you'll need to reschedule, unfortunately. I know it's an inconvenience, but I feel that's the proper way to handle the customer's vehicle. Or unless they're right at the borderline where they need an oil change, we'd be more than happy to perform the service and do an oil change and do a maintenance inspection on it and let you know what's going on with your vehicle.
So you would have an option to get an oil change, I guess. Even if you just had an oil change, you can get another one. Now, keep in mind that the oil change is not under warranty. Customer's gonna pay for that.
Correct.
But there are other things that maybe cause the vehicle not to go into electric mode that's not specific to form either, and we're seeing that. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yes, and what I've run on, we've done 16 vehicles since our last video, and we've only had a couple of them that are having issues going into electric mode because of low voltage in the battery. In the 12-volt battery, it needs to have a good 12-volt battery for the contactors to close and for the electrical system to work properly. What actually tests that is there is this little sensor here called an intelligent battery sensor, and it measures the state of charge, the state of health of the battery. And we can check if there's an issue electrical wise. I have seen some of these batteries showing 60%, and with 60% on an intelligent battery sensor, it tells me that the battery is 60% healthy, and the system is not keeping up the charge, or we could have something happening with the battery. One vehicle I particularly had, when it was cold outside, I had to charge it with one of our heavy-duty battery chargers. It says it passed, but the battery itself would not come up to the state of charge that I needed. I could get it to pass the test, but then the next day it didn't want to start. So we had to tell the customer, you know, we need to put a battery in your vehicle and everything will be fine from that point on. This little item here basically tells the computer and sends information back, and it controls a lot of different systems for the computers. It lets it know exactly what's going on with 12-volt battery.
So we know in the field that there were some issues with 12-volt batteries. I think for the most part it was on like the earlier 21s. But if your vehicle is under factory warranty, that 12-volt battery is a warranty item, correct?
Yes, we have to run it through its paces, which we hook it up to a machine called Maximus, and it basically checks and charges it, and it load tests it, and it performs that several times throughout its charge process, and it determines, is the battery integrity good, kind of like what we're doing with the high volt battery, and it'll say pass or fail, and that's it. And if we get a failed battery while you're under the 336, we'll replace it for you.
A few questions that we're seeing out there is, is everything under warranty? I mean, if the high voltage battery fails the test, it's under warranty,
yes,
regardless of the mileage of the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Because that's part of the recall.
Yes.
But if they can't get into the recall procedure because of a bad 12 volt battery and you're out of warranty, that's kind of on the customer, correct?
Yes. Unless, depending on your dealership and what they're going to do for you, simple things here at Ray we'll take care of. But if we have to go in and charge your battery for an hour and a half before we can even go any further, we're going to stop and we're going to call you and let you know what's going on. We're totally transparent on everything, and let you know. And if for fuel form, and if you're not sure that form is there and you didn't see it on your dash, okay, and you weren't paying attention, and we happen to call you back and say, hey, form is on your dash and these are our options, we'll totally leave it up to you, where we might have to reschedule, or you might turn around and say, hey, you know what, do the oil change, do what you need to do so I can get my car back at a reasonable time, and we can get the recall done and move forward.
The other thing we're seeing out there, and we talked about in our first video, is that this recall pays 7/10 of an hour.
Yes.
Now, in a perfect world, that's probably fairly accurate for the amount of time that actually you're working on the vehicle. I know it doesn't pay for charge time, it doesn't pay for some of the incidentals, but I think people need to understand that the recall doesn't pay for, and to be fair, you guys probably even here go above and beyond what that 7/10 of an hour does. Everyone, I think, just assumes that, well, if my battery's dead or this is dead, the dealership should just handle it, but I just think they need to understand that Stellantis isn't paying for those extra incentive or incidentals.
No, they're not. And a lot of customers are bringing them in with, well, not a lot, just a few that I've seen, they're coming in completely dead. They're not charging their batteries, and they're having form, or they're having a 12 volt battery issue, and that can extend that visit here at the dealership up to 4 to 5 hours just on one car. Not meaning that you're working on it for 4 or 5 hours, but it's here, and you're not behind the wheel and driving it and going where you need to go and stuff like that. But we've had a lot of customers coming in with 80% or better charged on their high volt systems, and they're not in form, and their 12 volt batteries are at charge, and literally it has taken 7/10 to an hour's time for the tech to update to controllers and take the test drive and get the pass screen, and we move forward.
So if you are not sure that your dealership did this correctly, for one, if you're remotely close to the Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram here in Fox Lake, just come see the team here. I think, Colin, you're going to pull up what I'm about to talk about. But if you're not sure that the dealership did it, so what they do here at Ray is they come up with this screen here. Show us the screen, Colin.
So what this screen does, as we go and take the test, it will come up as its system is passed. It documents the VIN number of the vehicle that is passed. I pull over, or I have my techs pull over to the side of the road when it's safe, and we screenshot it, save it, okay, to the phone. We get back to the dealership and we attach it to the customer's ticket, where then we can turn around and email this copy to you so you can see if you want for documentation. And it gives you that feeling of, you know what, my car was tested properly and it shows that it passed. You can't fudge this because
well, it's got the VIN number right on there. If it's not your VIN, it's not your Jeep, right?
But it won't tell you mileage driven, but you have to drive it at least a total of about 3 miles that I've seen on the least, to up to about 7 miles on the longest one to get this to pass, because once it goes through its checks, it sends information via the internet to Chrysler. Chrysler then in turn sends something back, checks it, makes sure there's no codes. I mean, it's a smart system, and then it passes it. That's it.
You literally cannot get to that screen if you don't do the drive cycle.
Exactly.
So if you see that, you know it's done. You know, the other thing is, we've had customers say, well, I brought my vehicle in at 0% charge, it left with 0% charge and had no miles on it. Like, it wasn't done.
No.
It just wasn't done. Or I brought my vehicle in and it it didn't go into electric mode, and I leave and it didn't go into electric mode.
Correct.
It wasn't done. So hopefully that kind of clears the air for some of the things we're seeing out in the field. I know many of you have actually brought your Jeeps here to Ray. That's awesome. You know it's done correctly. These guys are certainly in front of the 4xe on top of everything else here, but they're certainly in front of the 4xe system. So we're going to talk about in a future video here the Grand Cherokee, why that one's not out yet, what the differences are, and then supposedly the Grand Cherokee system update will be out at the first of the year. So stay tuned if you're a Grand Cherokee owner. There are some small differences in the hybrid system that
Yes.
Colin taught me yesterday. We're going to talk about that in a different video. But as always, like I said, comes to this team here at Ray, and we appreciate your time and transparency, and just come see the guys here at raycdjr.com, and we'll leave Colin's contact information in the comments below. So thank you, Colin, as always.
Thank you for entrusting us here at Ray.
We'll see you guys.